Hey guys, Linkoid here, and I just wanted to do a quick video on a build tutorial for The Sims 4. And basically all this is just to show you how you build. It's not a inspiration type build or anything like that. It's purely just running through the controls, how to place objects, and yeah, how to just get started building. So what we'll look at initially is we'll look at the build controls, and then we'll use what we've learned and kind of move into the user interface. And then once we've done that, then we'll move on to the basically building a really small little house. The little house is going to look rubbish, but it's just to show you how to do it. So keep watching and you'll learn everything you need to know. Okay, so effectively you've got these sort of main areas with the white kind of see-through bit. So these are our panels. And each of these allow you to do sort of certain things like controls or search for objects. So first of all, this is the lot panel, lot info panel. So when you click it, it'll tell you what type of lot it is, what the lot value currently is, and there is a base value for lots. So as soon as you start placing something, you'll see the value goes up because it's the base value plus anything you've placed. And then you'll see kind of number of bedrooms, number of bathrooms, lot dimensions and stuff like that. In Sims 4 Tiny Living, they introduced the tiny home residential as well as all of these kind of other bits that still existed. But what this tiny home residential does is when you click it, you can then go down on here and see the requirements. Just like you can with like other stuff, you can see the requirements of like it needs a bar stool, etc. But this actually gives you the opportunity to set yourself a limitation when building. So in terms of a micro home, you've kind of got 32 tiles. But effectively that's what the lot panel does. It shows you information, it allows you to change the lot type, and then shows you requirements for that lot type. And then based on if you've achieved that, you'll get perks depending on what you've achieved, but then you can also pick traits for the lot as well. Okay, so I think that's fairly simple. And then this new sort of button up here will show you exactly what perks you get for reaching these certain tiers, or not reaching necessarily, but maintaining within their restriction. So there's loads of stuff in here, but that'll be good for another video. So that's our lot panel, lot info panel, and that just shows you everything you need to know about the lot. Next we've got our game menu panel. There's two really important controls in here, and they're sort of hidden up in this corner. You've got like manage worlds, open the gallery, camera controls, notification wall, and then the options menu. Those tools, generally speaking, don't get used that much unless you need to use the camera controls, which are useful when you're beginning, but they really do slow you down if you have to go in here to use them. So I recommend learning what we're going to learn in the controls bit next in terms of moving around instead of using this. These controls though are really useful. Effectively, these allow you to move through the floors of your house. So if I place the wall down, you can see I then have another arrow to go up again. I could place another one, and then I'll be able to go up again. And basically this allows you to move up and down the floors in your building. This is the view type, so you can see at the moment we can see the back walls, and effectively it'll be the back walls of wherever you're facing. So as soon as you move around, you see how it cuts away depending on where you're facing. So there's three different view types here. Cutaway, which is what we're currently looking at. Full walls, so you can actually see the front of the walls as well, and then walls completely down, so you don't see any walls, you just see the furniture and the floor. This is really useful because sometimes you need to see obviously the front of the house to see what the windows look like and stuff like that. Sometimes you want to see no walls so you can see how the furniture is lining up and see if the Sims can move through it freely. So that's really useful, this tool, including this tool to go up and down. So these are the two main kind of tools or controls, if you like, that you're going to be using up in here. I'm not going to cover the camera one, but if you're finding any of the controls that I go through a little bit difficult, then just know that the camera is up here to be able to rotate the views and kind of switch between different camera types. So you can switch between Sims 3 or Sims 4. I'm currently on Sims 3, I prefer that. And then you can also do like zoom out and things like that. Okay, next we have our tool. This is effectively our like tools panel, if you like. So we've got our main select tool, which you can click on stuff, and that will allow you to manipulate it or move it around. So I can move that over there. And then we've got our eyedropper tool. So effectively you can kind of say, okay, I'm going to copy that piece of drywall and put it up here. So if I give you an example, let's put this one on here. You can select that and then put it somewhere else. So effectively that allows you to say I've got basic dark selected, and then I can use the eyedropper to grab that one instead. That just allows you to quickly grab things. If it's an object, it will allow you to grab the object as well. So that's really useful. The design tool is actually, but effectively you can kind of click on this and then select what colors you want. Depending on what object you're doing, there could be a lot more options in here, but it's really useful. It just allows you to really quickly kind of say, okay, I really want this. Put this down, but actually I want it to be green or red, something like that. And next up we've got the sledgehammer tool. So this allows you to just delete objects, and then it also allows you to delete rooms. So you can click and drag with this as well. So you see how this box is coming out and then the walls are lighting up. Effectively that's anything that's yellow is what's going to be deleted. So I can delete that section, and then if I like, I can just basically click on here, drag all the way out, and then delete the whole lot. And I can do the same with this as well. And then you can click on these to delete the floors. So that's really easy, really like simple. Sledgehammer destroyed stuff. Next we've got the undo tool. So this undo tool allows you to undo any previous actions that you did. So effectively, like, I can undo these, bring the fridges back, all of that stuff. And then if say I didn't want that extra fridge, you can redo it as well. So the previous action was to destroy, so I can redo all of those actions and actually redo stuff as well. So undo and redo are really, really useful. I use them all the time. You've also got save to my library, and what this allows you to do is effectively save the lot to your library, and then you can reuse it elsewhere, which is really, really useful. And then the other thing you've got, so if I place down a little wall quickly, is you've got this move lot and house tool. So if you say move the house, you can click on it, and then you can effectively move it wherever you like, and this will move the whole house including the furniture inside it. So that's really useful when you want to see kind of where your house would fit, if it went at the back with a big garden at the front, or went at the front, big garden at the back, etc. That would be really, really useful. Bulldoze effectively will bulldoze like the whole lot, and you can even bulldoze the terrain. So effectively you can just delete that whole build and it's gone. Yeah, just be careful with that one. But it's really useful if you come in here and say you're building on one of these and you want to start from scratch, bulldoze it, you've got nice flat land, and then you can start building. This lets you change the light effectively for build mode, even though it obviously changes the actual time as well. It mainly just lets you change the light when you're in build mode. So effectively I can change it to afternoon, which is probably the best light, so I can really see what I'm doing. So that's our tools panel at the top, and that's really kind of, you're going to use that quite a lot, from going from select to eyedropper to sledgehammer. Undo and redo is really, really useful as well. I'll come on to this last panel down the bottom because this is your main panel. But what I'm going to do first is I'm just going to go through some controls. So each one of these, if you hover over them, you can see they've got a little key next to letter next to them, which is their hotkey. So I can press E and it'll jump straight to this one, and then this one's H, so I can jump to H. If you want to increase your speed of building, that's really useful because you can just kind of really quickly jump through stuff without having to move from your build up to here and constantly back and forth. You can just really quickly jump through different kind of tools, and that's really useful. The next thing really is the camera. So I'm using the Sims 3 camera. I think it's fairly similar, but there's a few little differences. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through and I'm going to explain to you this camera that I'm using currently, because most people I know prefer it. So the way you move with this camera is a lot of it is to do with the scroll wheel. So to zoom in and out, you just scroll with the scroll wheel. So you can zoom just by scrolling like that. And you can see how fast it is, because effectively I can be right over the building or object I'm working on and just zoom right in, rather than coming up here and then dragging this. That's like a little bit sort of long-winded. So I recommend trying to learn all these camera controls because it will help you a lot. Next we've got rotation. So when you want to rotate around something, you can hold the middle mouse button and that will allow you to rotate. And effectively you can rotate side to side, up and down, and yeah, you can just rotate around your build and then kind of zoom in and out, all with the mouse, the middle mouse button, so with the scroll wheel. So you hold down the scroll wheel and then you can look around. Really, really useful because you can do everything then in terms of moving the camera just with the mouse without having to go up here. The next thing to basically focus on is panning. So when you want to pan, you hold down the right click and then you'll get this kind of little movement sort of cursor come up, so you can actually right click and move around the lot. So effectively with right click and the mouse wheel you can get any view that you want to get, which is really useful. So yeah, I recommend just quickly learning these. Just jump in build mode and just quickly move around. Okay, so next we're going to move on to the objects panel, which is this is just what I'm calling stuff. So if I refer to the objects panel, I mean this section at the bottom. Effectively, you can think of it as two sections. So you've got the left section, which is kind of like your main category search. So effectively, you can click on build, and then any of these little outlined kind of grey areas you can click on to find stuff for. So if we want to find a roof, we can click on the roof and then they'll all appear here. If we want to find a wall or a room, we can go here and this is where all of those are. And then the next thing is kind of different ways to search for stuff. So you've got objects by room, which is really useful. This is generally speaking what I use. You can go into the bathroom and then click on like showers, and then you'll see all the available showers. You can go sort of, let's have a look, what else do we want to do? Study. So you can go into the study, grab a desk, and there's the desk. Loads of different types of desks in here. But then you can also do objects by function, which is useful if you're looking for a particular skill or activity. So you can go to activities and skills, click on maybe knowledge, and then we can do, yeah, okay, that's pretty cool. We've got a little contemplation type of stool thingy. Yeah, so that's pretty awesome. That's kind of the way I navigate through stuff as I go through the initially for the big sort of structural builds I'll be on this section, and then for all the little objects and stuff I'll be jumping back and forth between these two. Another thing to note is you've got the household inventory, but because I'm not currently in a household, I'm just on free build mode, it's grayed out. But if you click this, it will then show you anything that's in your household inventory that you can place down. So that's worth noting, because if something's gone missing, it might be in there. And then you've got the search. So if you're really struggling, you can search for like a fridge. So there we've got fridge, and that's brought the fridge up straight away. So that's really useful, just a text search. And then you've also got filter items, so you can filter them by like styles. You can filter them by colors, content as well, and then you can filter them by packs. This is useful if you're looking to build something for someone else who doesn't actually have all of the expansion packs. So you can just go on here and click base game, tick, and then build something for them that they can use, which is really useful. So that's the sort of main objects panel, and the way this works is you click on one of the main categories. So say like walls, the walls will come up, you click on what item you want, and then you effectively just click to place it down. With walls, what it will do is when you click, it will kind of jut out like this, because what walls expect is they expect to be able to go along in a line, not just place one individual wall piece. So we can effectively start building our little example house. So there's our house. Actually, let's just quickly go to our select tool. Here's another little control you can do. Click on it so you've got it selected, and instead of dragging it to here, you can just press delete and that will sell it. So that's a nice quick way of removing objects. Okay, so the next step is to build a roof. So from walls, we click on roofs, and then let's just choose the hipped roof because that's nice and simple. So what you'll do is you'll click on it, and then it will create a standard square shape, and then you hover over the top of your building and then click, and as long as you've got this sort of green outline, you'll be able to place it. So effectively, as long as it's on top of the building, then it will sit correctly. So once you've placed it down, you'll then get all of these additional controls. They look a bit overwhelming to begin with, but they're really simple. So any arrows going out this way will just make the roof bigger, so you can click and drag. And then same with this one, click and drag. So now we've got this that's basically the same size as our building. Doesn't look great, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to extend out the kind of not the eaves, the tiles on top, but it won't actually make the roof, so the base of the roof won't actually get bigger, it'll just make the tiles bigger. So if I now click move, you can see it's still the same size with the green square, but actually the tiles have come out further, so it gives it this really cool overhang, which overhangs our building. So next thing we're going to do is we're going to add a little door. So again, come down to your sort of main category area for objects, click on a door that you like the look of, and then click, just one single click, move over to a wall, and then click on the wall, and then you'll have your door. Easy. One thing to note with the buildings is if you click on them, when you click on them, you can actually move them up or down kind of with this arrow now, and this will make it have little foundations. So you can see I can increase the foundations. And then another thing you can do is also with this, you can select how tall the wall's going to be. So if we select a tall wall, you can see we've got this kind of like tall building now, even though it looks a little bit weird. So let's go for medium. Perfect. So we've got ourselves a very tiny, but we've got ourselves a tiny little building. Next, what we want to do is we want to add some windows. So let's click on the windows. What do we want? Let's just use something a little bit weird. So let's click on these, add some of these weird little windows. Yeah, they're cool. Let's just keep them. You can tell this doesn't look very nice, but it's just showing you how you can do stuff. So what's next? We can now click on these tiny little kind of sections that will, so this is for the roofs. They look like pieces of wallpaper almost, and then a floor. These will allow you to color stuff. So effectively we can go here and we can say, okay, instead of that roof, let's go for one of these. and then instead of that wall, let's go for maybe like a brick wall. And then for the floor, if you click down on our arrow again and then click floor, let's give it a nice hardwood floor. So another trick you can do with this is, instead of clicking like this or even clicking and dragging, what you can do is you can hold shift and that will do all of the current kind of space. So that's really, really quick and easy. Let's go back to our little wallpapers or wall patterns. What do we want? Let's pick a horrible wallpaper to stick in here as well, because our house is pretty horrible at the moment. So yeah, there we go. We've got a little horrible room. Brilliant. So when you create a foundation, you have to create like tiny little stairs going up to them. And I've got a stair tutorial you can check out on the channel as well, which helps quite a lot. But if you place the stairs and then you face them in the right direction, click and move, it's a lot easier to get them placed in front of the door. So there we go. There's our... Oh, let me just move the door for some reason. That was strange. But yeah, your sim will be able to climb up there now. So effectively they'll be able to climb up into here and then get inside this house. Pretty cool. So the next thing we need to do is we need to add some objects, because effectively we've kind of got our, even though it's a very horrible building, we've got our little kind of building ready to go. We've got a door, we've got some windows, we've got a roof, we've got some stairs. Next is to, add some objects. So the first thing I like to do is I like to go to objects by function and then go into lighting, and then we can get some ceiling lights. So let's just pick this one. The cool thing about the ceiling lights is they'll, well, it sounds stupid, they'll light everything up so that you can actually see what's going on. You probably don't need this many, I've just done it for the video. So yeah, that looks pretty cool. Let's go with some lights. And now all we're going to do in this build is we're just going to build like a little living room, just to show you how you move through everything. So when you're building a specific room, it's always best to come to the objects by room section, find the one you want to do. So we want to do living room, click on maybe sofas and love seats. Let's go for this one. Pop that one down. So again, all you do is you click, and then if you want to select a specific color, you can kind of move just off to the right and you'll see that little bounce effect. So then you can click there and you can like change the color and stuff. You can also do the same with the design tool, so you click on it and change it like that. Okay, so let's go for a little coffee table, because all we're going to do is we're going to add a little coffee table and then we're going to add a little TV to it as well. Let's just go for this one. Yeah, let's make it look really nice. So we add in our little coffee table. Again, really simple. You click on it, move over where you want it, and then you'll get the green kind of square underneath it showing that, yep, it's fine to place that here. Let's go for a TV. So one thing to note is with like smaller objects, they can be placed on the floor, but also they can be placed up on surfaces. So if we didn't want that, if we wanted to like rotate this table, effectively we could just keep rotating it with those keys. And that's just using the angle brackets. So that's kind of it really with building. That's a really sort of beginner's guide to building and how to get started. One thing you might want to do when starting as well is adding kind of little different rooms. So you don't always have to use this room tool. What you could do is, so if we move all of this over into this corner, nice little cozy living room, you can just use this tool. So say you wanted to build like I don't know, like maybe a little, well, it would be really little actually. let's go this side. Say you wanted to build a really little partition, you could pop that in there, and if we bring the walls up, you can see that actually that's partitioned off that tiny little living room section. and then you can put something else in here. So you don't always have to use the rooms, you can just have little walls coming out and things like that. But yeah, I think once you start building and you get sort of creative and stuff, you'll be making some really awesome looking builds. So yeah, I think that's it really. That's everything everything I needed to cover in terms of just generally building in The Sims. It's kind of a beginner's build guide, if you like, or beginner's build tutorial, I guess, for getting started and really enjoying it. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed it. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one.